Okay, we're going to just come back and talk a few minutes about Kouzes and Posner's exemplary practice number 5, encourage the heart. I won't talk long about it. I realize you don't have to do discussion question. I do hope you will still read through the material. It's very, very good. Encourage the heart, I think, could have a sense of maybe being a step below importance in terms of the other practices that we've studied, and it may not seem to be that valuable of a leadership practice. I want to say that I think it is actually very valuable and very important. And let's talk about it especially in light of the ministry. Excuse me. In ministry, you're dealing largely with volunteers. Now, in a small church, for example, you're probably working with 100% volunteer organization other than probably the pastor being paid. And there may be one or two others that have some part-time salaries in there, but typically you're just talking about one paid position in a smaller church and then everybody else is volunteers. Excuse me. In a medium-sized church, you probably have a few staff, but again, a lot of volunteers. And even in a very large church where you may have hundreds of staff or many, many staff for sure, you still have to have hundreds and sometimes thousands of volunteers for the ministry to function effectively and effectively. Excuse me, I've got this frog in my throat. So I think my take on ministry is that it actually is one of the most challenging arenas of leadership that a person can have because of the large volunteer workforce that you're having to deal with. You're dealing with people who have no monetary compensation, no tangible rewards of any kind. Maybe a little gift at the end of the year at the Christmas party, and that's pretty much it. Maybe your church gives out a little gift cards occasionally throughout the year, but again, that's not a whole lot. And so, what you're doing with volunteer ministry is very challenging. So, encourage the heart. Basically, what it's saying is that you are finding ways to help people feel encouraged, to feel validated, to feel valuable, and to feel needed, that their part is important to the success of the ministry or the business, whatever it is that you're a part of. Now, obviously, even if you are in an organization where you're dealing with paid staff, this is still crucial. Studies after study show, and Kouzes and Posner will bring some of this out as you're reading through the material, that people function best when there is some sense of appreciation and validation that's being expressed to them. So a good leader is always finding a way to encourage those that are serving with him or with her in the ministry or in the business. I like a quote. I have a couple quotes in your slides. And let me say this by the slides, by the way. The slides, they are all the way through, and I think I've said this before, but the slides will be the foundation for your testing material. And so if in a lecture, often I won't go through every slide. That doesn't mean those slides aren't going to matter. They are going to matter, and you want to make sure that you review those. Next week, when we get ready for the test, I'm going to give you a very thorough review. We'll go through the slides. We'll talk about the slides. In fact, I'm going to go back through the slides, and I'll make some notations for you, and there'll be no reason to do poorly on the test because I'm going to give you a very extensive, very thorough review. So back to this. I like this quote. Let me look down at the screen for a minute. It says, exemplary leaders are constantly on the lookout to catch people. Catch people doing things right, excuse me. Always on the lookout to catch people doing things right. And then you create a culture when you acknowledge that publicly, when you let people know in a public arena, whether it's in an awards banquet, whether it's in a workers meeting, a staff meeting. If you're in children's ministry, you have a monthly staff meeting or a quarterly staff meeting. you acknowledge so-and-so who really did an exemplary job at a particular point in time, and that builds a tremendous sense of community when you continually do that. Also, Kouzes and Posner will talk about this as well, but it is really crucial that you don't have a lot of lag time between a job well done and a thanks or a commendation for that job. Sometimes it's too big of a gap. So do it immediately. Thank them immediately, of course, privately, but publicly acknowledge them if you can. Another thing that is so valuable for workers to feel encouraged and to feel validated is to not make it where it's not just always the formal awards dinner or banquet, and that's when they get awarded and thanked and appreciated, but do it all the time. Do it as a part of the ongoing activity of your ministry. One of the things that I've done over the years as a pastor is walk back through the children's area and just kind of stick my head in the door and acknowledge the teachers and just chat just a moment. Obviously, they don't want me interrupting class, and I do it right before service. They're already kind of in place, and then I'll just say thank you so much for serving today, and nothing formal. That's not public, obviously, but it does say to those teachers that I know they're there. Sometimes the children's ministry is the forgotten ministry off on the backside somewhere, and they know that I know they're there. They know that I appreciate them being there, and they know that I feel like what they're doing there is valuable and important. And so that's just one example. Another thing that Kouzes and Posner talk about in terms of creating community and building community among the team and keeping people encouraged is investing in having fun. And that is a good one. And I have to say that I've fallen short in that area. But just create fun times for your staff, for the workers. Not too long ago, my wife, who is an interpreter for the deaf, highly accomplished, I will say, and had her place of employment had a big party, and these are all very highly professional people. There's 60 interpreters out there, and they were having a bumper car derby, whatever you want to call it, and it was hilarious. I saw videos of it, and these are all very professional people, but they had a blast. So things like that you can do that create community and help people just feel more ready to go to work, because now they've kind of had a fun time together, and they just feel encouraged and they feel ready to go. So read that, Kouzes and Posner. I had hoped this week to spend some time talking about Chand. I've spent a lot of time at the beginning getting us ready for our paper. I don't think I have time to do that. I am hoping next week to talk about him some, and I don't know that we'll use him on the test any, but I do want to at least discuss his material a little bit. He's got great thoughts on culture. In fact, he says culture trumps vision, and so that's an interesting thought. So that's all I'm going to have to say today for Kouzes and Posner. I hope you will read it, and again, I've said it already, but on your paper, be sure to let me know if you have any questions or just run up against the wall in any way. I'll be glad to try to help you out. God bless you.